Alright, hey guys, so I want to do a demo video on a brand new mod that I have created called FleetCore. It is an LSPDFR plugin that basically turns your Grand Theft Auto 5 vehicle into a working car. It keeps track of persistence, damages, all of the functions of your vehicle. It can determine what type of road you're driving on and applies different variables to that. It can take into account the weather for if any of you guys are running weather mods. Um, but I want to show you guys how it works. I want to show you guys how it works. I want to show you guys how it works. But first, I need to come over here and I need to show you how to download it. So if you go over to LSPDFR, okay, right, yeah, yeah, you go to downloads. So for right now, oh, okay, so that's another one that I did. You see FleetCore Garage right here. I'm gonna go ahead and mention that this is an add-on. I'm gonna be doing another video here quickly. Um, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here. You're gonna go to scripts and plugins, and I'm working on approving certain things and getting it to where it can be seen by the public. Again, some people have already downloaded it, and I want you guys to tell me how it's working for you, how the original beta version is working for you. This is gonna be what you're gonna come in here and look at next time if they manage to approve things, is you're gonna see FleetCore version 1.0.1. That is the newer version. That is the newer version. It is the updated version. It is currently the only version that will work with my add-on mod, the garage mod. So if you come down here and you decide you want to download the beta, keep in mind if you try to download the beta and then you try to throw in my garage mod that you saw pop up, it's not going to work. You need FleetCore Garage version 1.0.1 underscore public release. You need that. So what you're going to do is download it and save it somewhere to your desktop. And I have already done so. And I have completely cleared everything for the purposes of this demo. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come over here. You're gonna either open the zip file or you're gonna extract it somewhere. You're gonna see a README. It's gonna give you instructions on where to put it. It's gonna tell you what requirements you need. So you need a legal copy of Grand Theft Auto 5. You need Rage plugin hook and you need LSPDFR. Those have to be in there first. Then you copy the included plugins folder in there, and of course it ships with a first run type deal thing. It has fuel stations, different profiles. Now this is set up to work with my fleet that I have. I have a Florida build fleet that I use, and I just use that for like the battery testing and all of that kind of stuff, like the different batteries of testing and all of that stuff that goes into it. I use that. You do not have to use this. It is purely optional, and I have said that in the description on the page. They ship with a first run acknowledged equaling false. That means you will need to complete the onboarding. You will need to read that message, because I know some people are going to download this and they may not read it. This forces you to read read what FleetCore is doing in your game before you can even play. You'll be able to walk around, you'll be able to drive around, but you won't be able to see anything, and you have to hit enter. So here's what we're gonna do. Since this is going to be supposedly supposed to be a brand new install, what we're gonna do is you go into your directory, you take this folder, and you can either right click and copy paste or drag and drop. And then if you go into plugins, LSPDFR, you will see there's a folder right here with vehicle profiles, fuel stations, and FleetCore. I have at this point added all of the generic vanilla vehicles to the profile so that it can recognize them if that's all you use. But it does support custom vehicles. I want to point that out. It supports custom vehicles. So after you do that, it's going to place FleetCore down here in your thing. So when you see your version, it should say file version 1.0.1. And with that, you are done with that part. Now, at this point, you're done with the installation. You are done with the installation. And now we need to get into the game. And I'm going to let this happen in real time so you can see everything. This is my workflow, but it may not be yours. Yours might not go exactly the same where you have to approve certain things and da 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 da. But I'm letting you see this so you can absolutely see how everything works. So, it's going to load up. It's going to go in. And it's best if you have LSPDFR either not set to load at startup or set to where if it loads that it places you at your apartment off duty. Because you don't want to be like in the middle of a traffic stop or in the middle of it loading in some sort of scenario and this pop up. So it's gonna go through loading all of this different stuff here, and then I'm gonna walk you through all the menus, all of everything. And just for continuity's sake, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the vehicle in the flyer, the little picture associated with it, so you get to see actually what it's doing with the actual vehicle I used to create this mod. So it's loading all of that stuff that I have in here, and it's gonna put me at the apartment. For the purposes of this video, I'm going to teleport to Sandy. I'm gonna teleport to Sandy Shores because of that big old airfield right there, and all of that space we have to work with. It's just loading up and letting everything go and yada da da da. Okay, so if you have it set the way I have, it will start you in your apartment. You will either be sitting or you will be showering or whatever the heck you're doing. And you can simply go outside, and for the purposes of your own build, you can start up everything right here. However, this is the vehicle that has been used for everything regarding FleetCore and the garage. So as you can see, LSPDFR is not loaded yet. And if I press any of this stuff, it's not doing any of that. going to unload the EUP menu right now, because if any of you have EUP menu, it's going to conflict with that keybind, because I haven't figured out a keybind for my setup that works and doesn't conflict. But you can change it to whatever keybind you want it to be. So we are going to right there. Oh, and you hit my car. Let me just fix that real quick. And now we hop out of the car. This is where the fun starts. Whether you go into the menus or anything else or whatever, I like to force duty. I don't like to go through the menus at the station, because sometimes I've had crashes and had to fix things. So we're gonna force the duty. And what you should see, and so after you force duty, or after you go on duty and things start kind of loading in, this message pops up. Now, I think it's very, very pertinent. It's very, very pertinent that you understand. FleetCore is not going to load up with all of that right now. Why? Because it's waiting for this it's assuming that you're going to take the time you need to read this menu, briefly read this introduction on what it says. So everything else will download. Everything else will show the notifications that they started. Everything else will. And after all of that gets done, if you want to make sure and just kind of wait and see, then you press enter. It'll center you back. And now you see FleetCore loaded successfully. Your car matters now. Don't wreck it. Now, here's the fun part. You go over to a vehicle, or you spawn whatever vehicle you want. This menu immediately pops up. And now, as you can see on the startup menu, you have fuel stations. Okay, so this is another fuel station. I believe every single other gas station is represented here. So you can go and you can get fuel, you can do all of that. But here's the problem with the gas station. When you go, you have to turn the car on. Let me turn that off so it's not doing that when I'm driving around. this will be a nice little test. And this will be a nice test. So let's run. So there have been two consistent cars that I've really used for stress testing. This one, which I affectionately call the Silver Bullet, and this one that I call the Black Knight because of how dark it is. So if you hop out of the Silver Bullet, and because I will be using both of these, I might as well go ahead and generate files for both of these. You see it changed. Well, not really, because I have them. Not really, because in my setup, they're basically the same car. One of them, you just have to go through the stages of lights. The other one, you can just hit J one time and it turns everything on. Now, and if you go and you don't have to create anything as far as files for these cars, it does that automatically, and it switches between the two and keeps them persistent. Now, when you want to do like shift reports, if you bring up the Refueling menu, you see roadside, you have access to a jump box, you have access to the fuel can, you have access to a spare tire, you have access to do whichever one. Whichever tire you wish. I don't quite remember exactly which. Hold on. This will be a good thing. This will be a good thing to figure out, because I don't remember what keybind it is for that to switch the tire. So those are debug keys. That's tire thresholds. So N and H is a selected tire. T is cycle selected tire. So I believe the way I've set this up, that there's a way you can go in this menu. Oh yeah, you can turn it on. You can turn dev mode on. So that'll be something that I know I have to another thing that I know specifically that I have to fix. I have to fix it to where those things become part of the tire functions and not part of the dev map keys. But then once you turn dev mode on, and you hit T, you can see in the diagnostic panel, it's changing every tire and showing you, and it'll show you the status for that tire. You're not going to see it right now because all tires are at perfect 100%, but if there were some damage or wear to your tires, it would show it in that. So, here's what I'm going to do for now. Oh, you also have a keybind that shows you the diagnostic key and the control center key. And we can turn dev mapping off, the dev off. You can turn notifications on or off if you wish. You can handle the HUD display from here. You can even toggle some of these systems off if you don't want them on. Like certain things you don't want on, you can turn it off. Including the fuel. If you don't want fuel consumption, if you want to drive around like your car has infinite fuel, You have the option to do that. It'll just track what your fuel was and not reset it. And then when you start actually using fuel again, it will literally start consuming fuel. And I have tested this. You do burn fuel from sitting down. That is literally why I'm leaving the car running. And then you have like the terrain effects, you have the weather effects, you have fluid leaks, you have all of that stuff. Now, I want to get into something else. You have a tour of duty. It shows you that this is inactive, that shift start is inactive. It shows you what vehicle you're driving. And then it says 1041 start tour. It says ready. This is not activated until you press enter. This is your report system for the shift. It generates a snapshot of what your vehicle looks like before you start, and then once you hit this, it will generate a report based on what that vehicle did and what it went through and what you put it through. You have to hit 1042 in order for it to generate that report. Otherwise, it won't do it. For now, we're gonna do it. And as you can see, tour of duty started, and then if you take that out, it says, I thought it might say something on here. Okay, no, it didn't. But we know good and well, I know good and well, because I've tested this enough that it does that. And so, yeah, you're free to drive around and do all of those sorts of things. Here's something else. If you crash it and you have notifications on, it will show you things. Like it will show you things. It'll show you what got damaged. It'll show you everything else. It'll show you all of those things. And so I'm driving around. With the sun. And let's say, for instance, because I haven't called in yet, let's say, for instance, okay, that person didn't use a signal when they turned. We're gonna fake pull them over. Your car now starts evaluating the electrical load that your lights are putting on the car. So when I say this works like a functional car, it works. Your battery works, your starter works, your alternator works, and it already recognizes the fact that you're putting extra load on your car. Let me position this guy so it's right. Now, here's the fun part. it's gonna refuel and it'll show you when it's done. There are a lot of little features and things in this that I put in that I'm now having to remember what I put in. And it simulates the cooling systems, it simulates leaks, it simulates all of that. And it logs all of this stuff in your reports when you start it. So let's say you're done with patrol. You want to get off, but you want to make sure it saves everything. The first thing you do is to go into the F1 menu, go to tour duty, and you hit this 1042. And when you hit it, it's going to generate a report showing everything that vehicle went through on this shift. And then once you're off duty, you go into your directory and you can see that we have vehicle history, for that vehicle that I was driving. We have a shift report for that vehicle I was driving. And it keeps a constant, persistent vehicle data file for the vehicle I was driving. And so it keeps up with these records for you so that you don't have to keep up with them for yourself. And so I figured that I'd show you guys this, show you what my concepts were and what I thought about this. And oh, one more thing. If you decide to unload LSPDFR, all of those blips disappear off the mini-map and on your pause menu. So as you can see, it looks like the basic default GTA 5 map now. None of that stuff's on there. Yeah, none of that stuff is on there. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for hopefully downloading this. Maybe it changes the scope of your game. And remember, your car matters now. Don't wreck it.